Good morning everyone. Today we'll talk about osmosis and osmotic pressure. So let us begin by osmosis. Let us see what the definition tells us. It says that osmosis is the movement of water molecules from their region of higher concentration. Here this term "there" refers to water. That means where water is present at a higher concentration. So if in a solution water is present in a higher concentration than the solute, then that solution becomes dilute. That's what's written in the bracket. That dilute solution or with a lower solute concentration to their region of lower concentration. Again, here "there" refers to water. That means the movement of water molecules from water molecules region of higher concentration to water molecules region of lower concentration through a semi-permeable membrane. Now, when I was defining diffusion last time, I told you we'll compare it with osmosis. Now, the difference is that in case of diffusion also, free movement of molecules takes place. But the difference between osmosis and diffusion is here movement of any molecule, be it solute, solvent, gas, liquid is considered, and here only the movement of water molecules is considered. And in case of diffusion, the two regions have to be in direct contact. But in case of osmosis, the movement takes place through a semi-permeable membrane. That means there has to be the presence of a semi-permeable membrane. Now let us see what the asterisk here tells us. Solution having solvents other than water can also show osmosis. The solvent molecules will move from their higher to lower concentration through a semi-permeable membrane specific to their size. Basically what happens is when the solvent molecules move, suppose there are two beakers. This is a beaker with a concentrated solution. This is concentrated. That means in this water is less than the solute, or if water is not there, some other solvent is there, solvent is less than solute. And let us consider another beaker. This is a dilute solution. Here water, concentration of water is more than the solute, or if there is some other solvent, then concentration of solvent is more than the solute. So in this case, when this is the scenario and if they are separated by a semi-permeable membrane, then the movement of water and solvent, this is water or solvent that is moving. So this movement is known as, this entire thing is known as osmosis. Okay, I hope it is clear to you that osmosis is basically the movement of water or solvent molecules from their region, that means from waters or solvents higher concentration. So obviously the solution will be dilute in that case to a concentrated solution where the concentration of water and solvent is less than this, and that movement has to take place through a semi-permeable membrane. In that case or that phenomenon, that kind of movement is known as osmosis. Okay, so in the book it says that an important thing to note in the above definition is that only the water molecules move from their higher concentration to their lower concentration. Okay, now let us look at this with reference to a cell, because we are not just looking at it as a physical or a chemical process, we are looking at it with respect to a cell as a biological process. So with reference to a cell, osmosis can be either inward or outward, depending on the extent of concentration on the solutions surrounding it. Okay, now do you remember while explaining this portion that root hairs contain cell sap, a similar thing was told to you, that the cell sap has more concentration in comparison to the soil around it? So if you think about that condition, based on that, there are two types of osmosis that a cell faces. One is the inward diffusion of water through a semi-permeable membrane when the surrounding solution is less concentrated. So this tends up to swell up the cell. In this case, water moves inside the cell from outside, and the semi-permeable membrane, isn't it very similar to cell membrane? So when water enters the cell through a semi-permeable membrane from the surrounding solution, the cell swells up, and that phenomenon is known as endosmosis. Endo for inward movement. Now exosmosis also takes place. For example, it is the by definition it says that the outward diffusion of water through a semi-permeable membrane when the surrounding solution is more concentrated. Okay, so this results in shrinkage of the cell. So if we think about the simple experiment of you keeping a raisin inside a water-filled bowl, then we can in a very simplified manner we can say that endosmosis takes place by the end of the time period for which you have kept it, because the raisin will swell up. I hope you all have done the experiment related to diffusion and have come to a conclusion. Try to answer this yourself. The question says, if the concentration of the surrounding solution is same as that of inside of the cell, now in which direction will the net movement of water molecules be across the cell membrane? Will it be inward, outward, or no net movement? Think about it. Now you will see that there are two experiments mentioned, experiment 2 and modified version of experiment 2. Now in your ICSE, these experiments are very important. You might be asked to write an experiment where you might be given the result that what kind of an experiment you will devise to get these results. Or you might be given a diagram like this with all the labelings done, and you will be asked that upon doing this and this, what conclusions can we derive, or what can be the results. So these experiments you cannot miss. These experiments are something that you cannot miss. These are very important. So let us see what is being told here. So this is an experiment which explains osmosis to us. Let us see. It says that take some concentrated sugar solution in a thistle funnel. Cover the mouth of the thistle funnel with a cellophane paper. So this thistle funnel has been covered, the mouth of the thistle funnel has been covered with the cellophane paper, and the greenish solution that you see inside is the sugar solution. Now instead of cellophane paper, you can use an egg membrane or animal bladder as well, and tie it securely. Invert the thistle funnel in a beaker containing water and keep it like this. Now we will mark the initial level of sugar solution on the stem of the thistle funnel. Remember, sugar solution is inside the thistle funnel with the mouth of the thistle funnel being tied up securely, and the beaker in which the thistle funnel is dipped contains simply water. This is an experimental setup. Now, whenever we do an experiment, we need an experimental setup and a control setup. A control setup is nothing but a similar setup with just one thing missing, the thing that we need to find out. So as a control for comparison, what do? We take another thistle funnel with plain water filled in it. So instead of sugar solution that creates a difference in concentration between water and sugar, or the outside and the inside of the thistle funnel, we take simply water and suspend it again in a beaker of similar kind, similar amount of water and everything. And we do exactly the same things as we have done for the experimental setup. That is, we mark the level on the stem, the initial level and all. Now, what we do then, after a few hours, what we observe here is the level of sugar solution in the thistle funnel in the experimental setup will rise. The level of water in the thistle funnel in the control setup will remain unchanged. And the level of water in the beaker in the experiment setup will drop slightly. But the level of water in the beaker in the control setup will not change. And if the water in the beaker in the experimental setup is tasted, it will be not found sweet. Okay? Telling us that in the experimental setup there is no sugar outside. Okay, that means sugar has not moved out. And if sugar has not moved out but the level has risen, that means something has moved in. That something has to be water, because there is nothing other than water here. So let us see what conclusions are drawn from these observations. So the conclusions drawn are, in the experimental setup, some water of the beaker has passed through the cellophane paper to enter the thistle funnel containing the sugar solution. Now, sugar from the thistle funnel has not passed into the beaker, and the cellophane paper has acted as selectively or differentially permeable membrane. It has allowed water molecules to pass through but not the sugar molecules. And that is what happens in case of an osmosis. The water moved in through the cellophane paper because the cellophane paper allowed the movement of water. But sugar molecules, as they were large enough in comparison to water, water molecules, they could not move out. So water moved from its higher concentration, water's higher concentration, to water's lower concentration. Because here there is sugar solution, there is no sugar solution outside. So here the concentration of water is less, here the concentration of water is more. So water has moved in through a semi-permeable membrane. I can call it a semi-permeable membrane because sugar was not allowed to move out by the cellophane paper. So this is a experimental demonstration of osmosis. Okay. Now let us see what happens if we slightly modify this. How are we modifying it? We are modifying the experimental setup by taking a more concentrated sugar solution in the thistle funnel and a very dilute or less concentrated sugar solution in the beaker. That means now, okay, this one is this. Now the inner solution is more concentrated. In the thistle funnel, the solution is more concentrated, and the beaker contains not just water but dilute or less concentrated sugar solution. Okay. Now again the initial levels are marked. Okay. Now after some time, here also it is instead of, now let us see what happened. This again is because of the water. Now again, why it will rise? Here it is seen that it will rise. Why it will rise? Because again the outer solution is dilute. That means more water concentration. So even if we use same type of solution but different in their concentration, movement of water molecules will take place. Okay, now here it is mentioned what happens if we use a rubber sheet or a muslin cloth instead of cellophane. In this setup they have used a rubber sheet, and in another setup they are using a muslin cloth. What happens? There is no change in the level of sugar solution. Now why is so? Because the rubber sheet is impermeable. They do not allow the water molecules from the beaker to cross over. But in the second case, what happens? The pores of the muslin cloth are so large that they allow they allow not just the water molecule but also the sugar molecules to move. So there is a free movement of water and sugar. Okay, so there is also a possibility of questions like this coming, that the entire setup is same, but by changing the barrier that is used, like in cellophane paper, rubber cloth, muslin, what will be the outcome of the experiment? So you have to think that what kind of material is used, whether the material is impermeable or semi-permeable, or it allows everything to move. So here it is said that the same experiment can be performed by using a whisking bag. It is again a semi-permeable membrane. Now if you are using semi-permeable membrane, then the results will be same as experiment this 2 or the modified version of experiment 2. Okay, now let us look upon these 2 key points in the above experiments. The key points are, there are 2 liquids of different concentrations. The sugar solution has a higher concentration of sugar molecules, where there may be fewer or no sugar molecules in the beaker. That was the case in the first experiment. Now it is very important for you to understand that the concentration can also be visualized from the side of the solvent, that there are more water molecules and less water molecules. So now if you look at this setup in this figure 4.4, you will find that there are 2 regions of different concentrations or tonicity, which may be expressed such as 2 regions of different concentration of water molecules or 2 regions of different concentration of sugar molecules. Okay, that is one key point, that whenever you do this experiment, you have to make sure that the 2 solutions that are used are of different concentrations, are of different tonicity. If you are using water, you are using sugar solution. If you are inside and water outside. If you are using sugar solution, in both cases, one has to be more concentrated than the other. Okay. Another important key point is that the 2 liquids are separated by a cellophane paper, which behaves like a semi-permeable membrane. Okay, or a selectively permeable membrane. It allows the solvent, that is the water molecules, to pass through, but it prevents the passage of the solute. That is, it stops the sugar or the salt molecules in the solution to move. So it actually mimics or imitates a cell in a certain environment. Okay. Now, how long? Next topic that there is in the book is how long can osmosis continue? Now, by going by the definition and the explanation, we can say that theoretically it should continue until the concentration of water molecules in the beaker and inside the Thesel funnel, that is on both sides of the membranes, are equal. Okay, so in this experiment, the column of sugar solution in the Thesel funnel keeps rising upwards due to the influx of water, and with it the height and weight of the column of the solution also increases. Such an increase in the height and weight will, now generally the osmosis does not continue forever. Due to the increase in the height and weight of this column, the osmosis is reduced. A stage will be reached when no osmosis will take place, even if there is a difference in water concentration, even if there is a difference in concentration of water molecules. In this state of equilibrium, the water molecules from the beaker, they tend to force upwards. But what happens? Now you might ask that why it happens. Then is osmosis wrong, or does osmosis doesn't take place? It does. But see, when the height and weight, now when the initial level is rising, the height of the column is rising, and with the increase in height, the weight is also increasing. Now the water molecules will try to push in through the cellophane paper, but the weight and the height of this column of this sugar solution will exert an opposite force, will exert a force in opposite direction to the water molecules, resulting in to the water molecule not being able to enter. Okay, and that's when the osmosis stops. Okay, so osmosis will occur as long as the pressure created by the sugar solution does not stop the water from entering. As soon as the pressure created by this column of sugar solution exceeds the force of water molecules, the osmosis stops. This brings us to our next topic, that is osmotic pressure. What is osmotic pressure? We'll refer to the previous experiment and we'll say that if there is an airtight piston bearing some weight introduced to the Thesel funnel, then the level of solution would not rise, showing that there has been no entry of water. In that case, we may say that osmotic pressure is equal to the weight or pressure required to nullify osmosis. Let us see what the definition of osmotic pressure says. It says that osmotic pressure is the minimum pressure that must be exerted to prevent the passage of pure solvent into the solution when the two are separated by a semi-permeable membrane. Here the pressure is introduced by this piston with a weight on it. So this weight, here the sugar solution needed to rise to create the pressure so that water could not enter, and here the Thesel funnel is pushing, the piston is pushing, creating a pressure here so that the water molecules cannot enter. So the minimum pressure that must be exerted to prevent the passage of the pure solvent, that is osmotic pressure. Or if you want to say it simply, it is the pressure of a solution is a measure of its tendency to take in water by osmosis. Okay, so osmotic pressure of a solution is a measure of its tendency to take in water by osmosis. If the osmotic pressure is huge, then it is not going to take in water. If it is less, that is the pressure created here is less, then water can enter. Okay, that's it for today. Next day we will talk about tonicity, this is very important, the next part, tonicity and active transport and flaccidity as well. Okay, so please go through this portion, osmosis and osmotic pressure, very important. Lots of questions can come from this, and we'll again talk in the next e-content. Thank you.